Pretty girls have to embrace being called mean, narcissistic, or arrogant if they want to protect themselves and get the lives that they deserve. When you're a woman who's gone through a mental and physical glow up and you're becoming the best version of yourself, you also need to learn how to protect yourself spiritually so that you can keep up the progress you're making and not end up at square one again. And this is where it is so important to learn to embrace being the mean girl, being the arrogant girl, being the narcissistic girl. Not because you are any of those things, but because women who actually prioritize their own lives and becoming a better version of themselves will always be called mean, narcissistic, arrogant, or bad. And them calling you a mean or bad or narcissistic person is a way to get you down from your pedestal that you have worked so hard to build for yourself and that you deserve to stand on. When you're a woman who either has pretty privilege or puts effort into your own looks because you understand that where effort goes, effort flows, no matter what you do, even no matter how nice you are, people will start calling you a mean and arrogant person for standing on your boundaries, for expecting more from society because you expect more from yourself. As soon as you stop becoming a pushover, especially when you're a woman and especially when you're a neurodivergent woman who's been a people pleaser your whole life, as soon as you go from being that pushover who constantly wants to tend to everyone's needs and who puts her own needs last, to now putting your own needs first, the people around you will think that you're bad. And it's because the little energy that you were putting into making them happier, validating their existence, their negativity, their victimhood, now you're putting it into yourself and you're growing it. And people can see that you are growing it. They can see by your outward appearance, your pretty privilege, the way that you spiritually have a glow up, that you putting the energy you used to put into them into yourself is actually way more powerful. And when you start becoming way more powerful, you no longer resonate with the people that were trying to get you to spend your energy on them. You go from vibrating down here, maybe you felt like a victim, maybe you felt like everything was bad and against you, and now you vibrate up here. You understand that where effort goes, effort flows. You take responsibility for creating the life that you truly want. You understand that your pretty privilege can take you places that you didn't know you could get. And you understand that you need to protect yourself. You have risen from down here and up till here. You're no longer recycling guilt and shame and trying to get other people to validate you because you're learning how to validate yourself. You're going on a journey for you. When you start going on your own journey, you start putting effort into your looks, start putting effort into yourself, your mentality. You become both a pretty girl physically and mentally. Because when you have a mental glow up, you usually also have a physical glow up. They go hand in hand. And maybe in the beginning of your growth journey, people couldn't tell that you were truly growing and becoming a better version of yourself. But now that your looks are following, because your mentality is literally going to transform the way that you look, the way that your aura is, the way that you carry yourself, it is going to transform the way that you appear. It is going to make you prettier. People will start to feel even more resentment towards you because you're now proving to them that their alibi, the lies they've been telling themselves, that they can't get a better life, that everything is bad, everything can't go their way, that it's a lie. Because not only are you a woman, maybe you're also a neurodivergent woman. I know for a fact that I've gotten a lot of resentful people around me throughout the year who have tried to put me down because I refuse to stoop to what people told me that I could amount to. When I found out that I was neurodivergent, I didn't let that be a hindrance for me, even though I was literally told. When people see the person they thought were the weakest becoming stronger than they've ever been before, a woman who went from trying to people please everyone, who starts putting energy into herself, appreciating her beauty, doing her makeup every day, taking care of her health, and neurodivergent, who's not burned out, who loves the life that she has, who's calm, happy, this does not go with the image that they have created within their own heads. This is so far out of their comfort zone, the alibi they've tried to make themselves believe, that it flashes red for them. It seems like a giant red flag because their nervous system is literally so scared of the fact that you exist within close proximity to them, but you're so different than what you used to be. That's why when you level up, you have a glow up, you become a better version of yourself. When you go from vibrating down here to up here, it is so important that you never ever lower yourself to the people that are telling you you're mean, you're bad, and try to convince them that you're not. Because you know what you're doing when you're trying to make people believe that you're not a narcissist, you're not a bad person. You're taking the energy you could be putting into yourself and you're putting it in to pleasing other people to make them believe that you're not bad. In reality, they don't believe you're bad, but their nervous system, their shadow self, their ego is fighting so hard to keep up the reality that they've been creating for themselves, the bubble that they've been in, so much that they start becoming verbal. They start trying to shout out into the world the feelings that they have towards themselves. You're bad, you're mean, which is actually their feelings towards their shadow and their ego self. Because when you level up and you become a better version of yourself, the people around you who want to do the exact same thing that you're doing to some degree, they will start reacting verbally. They will start trying to get you to come down from your pedestal. Your journey up the mountain that you've been fighting so hard to climb, because you going for your desires is showing their desires inside of them that they've been repressing, that it is possible to go for it. But they've been repressing these desires for so long that they've learned to push them down, to drown them out. And the way that they drown them out is to shout after you that whatever it is you're doing is bad, is immoral, it's not right, that you're a narcissist, that you're a mean person. Their desires want to break out too. And in this case, the best thing you can do is not go down the hill and coddle them and validate them to say, I'm not a bad person, don't worry, I'm a good person, I'm a good person. It is for you to keep on climbing. It is for you to make yourself a better version of yourself every single day so that you can get to the top of that mountain, because that will literally shatter so many people's shadow selves and egos in the long run so that they can go for the lives that they truly want. But if you go down the mountain, if you go down from the progress that you've been making to try to tell people that you're a good person, you are literally validating the negativity within them, and then they can rest in their own comfortability, their own little bubble, so they don't make any progress. It's kind of like when you give a screaming kid, a kid who's really misbehaved, a piece of candy to shut them up. The kid is going to know that if they misbehave and if they scream loud enough and if they make you feel bad enough, they're going to get some candy. And instead of standing your ground and moving forward and letting the kid whine and cry until they stop and realize that's not going to work, you go and coddle them and give them the lollipop. That is exactly what happens when you climb down your mountain of growth to the people that are vibrating down here. Could be friends, could be family, could be people on social media that are telling you that you're a bad person for doing what you're doing. When you respond to them, especially when you respond, don't worry, I'm not a bad person, that's their gotcha moment. That's their incentive for not ever making any progress of their own. So the most selfless thing you can actually do, and the best thing you can do to protect yourself, is to actually keep going and embracing the fact that people are telling you this. And I'm not saying that you have to reinforce the fact that they're saying that you're a bad person. You don't have to say, I'm a bad person, I'm a bad person, but you just have to let their voices ring and still keep moving forward. And it is going to be hard, but you know what? The further you move up your mountain of growth, the less you will be able to hear the voices of the people that are down here at the bottom of the mountain, the people that are vibrating down here, because you moved forward. You took on the responsibility for yourself that you needed to take, and you understood that it's not because they think you're actually bad, it's because they have something within themselves that they need to work on, and it's not your duty to work on it for them. It is not your duty to validate them because it's not going to take them where they need to go. It is their journey, and your journey is the one you have to focus on. It is so important that you embrace your own journey, especially when you're a pretty girl. When you're a woman who understands how to use her pretty privilege to level up her life and get the things that she wants. When you're a woman who understands that things are just not going to come to you when you sit back and whine. You have to be able to do your journey on your own without relying on the validation from anyone, because the validation that you will be getting is not going to be validation. It's going to be you lowering yourself. And you know what that's going to do in the long run? It's going to stress you out. It's going to make you feel resentment. And that's going to make you literally uglier, because you know what happens when you become stressed out? You have raised cortisol, and cortisol literally is a stress hormone that makes you uglier in the long run. It makes you sleep worse. It makes you gain visceral fat. So when you're stressed out for people that are down here that you can literally not change their lives, but you so much want to change their lives, you want to do good by them. You want to show how they can level up too. You are literally making yourself uglier. You're literally taking away from your own pretty privilege, both mentally and physically, because you're bound to become stressed on their behalf when you're dealing with people that are not willing to make any changes for their own lives. This is why it is so essential when you are a pretty girl and you want to protect your beauty and your peace and your mentality that you do not take it upon you to help other people grow. Of course, if people seek you out and they truly want advice, they can take that advice. But it is not your duty to try to level them up, because it is going to make you stressed in the long haul. It's kind of like you climbing your mountain, but then instead of it's only being you, you're actually having people that are clinging onto you, holding on to your climbing belt or whatever it is you're wearing while you're climbing the mountain. And that's going to make your journey up the hill heavier. And you know what they're saying while you're climbing the mountain and you're doing all the work? They're saying, oh, you're not climbing as fast as you were before, huh? Oh, you're really trying to grow? It doesn't seem like this growth thing is really working, huh? They're going to try to blame you for their growth because they're not ready to actually grow. So they're going to blame it on someone else. And because you were too much of a people pleaser, because you were too nice, and because you didn't want to come off as a mean person, you took it upon yourself to help people that don't even want to help themselves, that are not serious enough to help themselves. And they're going to start blaming it on you, of course, because they're not ready yet to take the responsibility that they need to take and actually climb the mountain themselves. So they're going to tell you that whatever you're doing and the advice that you're telling them is not true. It's bad, but they're still going to want to claim the free pass on climbing on top of your back and holding on to you while you're trying to ascend. This is why for pretty girls that are leveling up, it is so important that you move in silence when it comes to your goals and your visions and your plans for the future. You cannot be sharing with everyone and their mom, especially your family members or your friends that you might think are on your side, what it is you're trying to achieve. You have to keep it to yourself until you've actually achieved it, or until you're so far up the mountain that they cannot get you. Because if you let people know what you're working on too early, they will try to bring you down because you're threatening them, because they don't like the fact that you actually have things that you want to achieve. So it's better for you to move in silence and achieve the things you want to achieve, and then let them sit back and be like, wow, you actually achieved that? And you know what they're going to say? Wow, you're a mean person for not sharing with us that you are achieving this. Why couldn't you share the journey with us? Because now You're telling me that you thought I was mean for not sharing how I got there. That tells me that you're not ready for the information. That tells me that you're not ready to receive it. You need to have boundaries when it comes to the things that you share with people, when it comes to the dreams and the things that you want in your life. Because believe it or not, their energy, their resentment, them suppressing their own desires will rub off on you, especially if you have been a people pleaser and you have been working hard for you to stop being the type of person who pleases other people. You have to take that extra step. You have to create those extra boundaries to make sure that those type of people don't get to you. And that's why a growth journey will be lonely for some of the time, because you will have to climb the mountain on your own. It is your journey. But if you didn't climb it on your own, you would be stuck being pulled down by people that are not ready to take the steps that they need to take. And when you're a gorgeous woman physically, on top of that people can tell that you're making an effort with your looks, they will try to demonize you even more, because they do not like the fact that a woman can be both strategic and beautiful. Society doesn't like the fact that a woman can be both smart and pretty, because it's kind of like a double threat. It means that you have a lot of power. And you might say, I don't want to conceal my power. I want to be my true self. You can be your true self when you get to the top of that mountain, but you will never ever get to the top of that mountain if you are not protective of the powers that you truly have, or people will try to use these powers against you. That's why you have to get to the mountain, to your sanctuary, where you have the resources, where you have the mental capacity, where you have the life that you truly want, to be able to show people your powers, to be able to be completely clear about the fact that you're both beautiful and smart. This is why for a lot of women that are trying to level up their lives and they're also extremely gorgeous, it can be a really, really good idea to learn how to play dumb. And I'm not saying you have to play stupid. You just need to learn to come off as if you're not all that, while you know that you are all that, because in reality, the only validation you need is yours and the validation from the universe. And you know what? The universe is unlimited. So of course you can be both smart and beautiful. You can be whatever it is you want, but you have to be moving strategically if you're not yet at the top of your growth mountain, because people will try to get you down, especially when you're moving in the presence of people that are very low vibrational, when you're moving in the presence of people that are not willing to make their dreams come true. They're going to be extremely threatened by a woman who is smart and beautiful. And for you not to be caught in the crossfire where people are actually going to tear you down even more, you're going to have to make up a flaw. And the easiest flaw to make up that doesn't require much thought is for you to come off a little ditzy, being a little more curious, especially around men when you're trying to become the type of woman who has a soft life. Maybe you want a provider man. The men that are vibrating down here, the men that do not have what you need in order for you to get the life that you want, they will see you as an incredible threat for you being smart and beautiful. So it is important that you create a kind of an image in their head that, oh, of course, she's very beautiful, but she doesn't seem that smart. And that does not mean that you're not smart. It actually means that you're incredibly smart because you know how to play the game strategically. And you know what will happen when you don't come off as smart? They will leave you alone. They will leave you to do whatever it is you want to do, and you can focus all of your energy on getting a glow up even more, growing your mentality even more, because they're not worried about you, and you're not spending your energy trying to defend yourself because they're threatened by the fact that you're both smart and beautiful. And it's always better for you to come off as beautiful and not too smart than it is for you to come off as really, really smart, but then look like who did it and why. Not put an effort into your looks, because pretty privilege is a privilege for a reason. Being gorgeous is a step inside the door of specific environments that can take you certain places. It can get you way further than you being overly smart and a know-it-all. I know this for a fact. I used to be the girl in school who was the know-it-all. I actually got an award for this year's know-it-all, and I didn't understand how backhanded it actually was. And I also couldn't understand why people kind of seemed like they thought I was better than them, because I wasn't trying to be better than them. I just wanted to show people that I was smart. I thought that brains mattered more than beauty. That's what I was told my whole life. But I couldn't understand that the girls who weren't doing as much as me in school and who were more focused on makeup and looking good, that they seemed to have an easier time. I was so focused on proving that I was really, really smart that I ended up coming off as hostile, and I ended up coming off as super dominating. And of course, none of the people around me wanted to help me out when I already came off as if I couldn't even help myself out because whatever it is I was doing wasn't good enough. I was trying to be perfect all the time. I was trying to know it all. And being a know-it-all around other people made it seem like they didn't know anything. I thought being smart was going to take me the places that I truly needed to go, but that's the biggest lie in the world. When I started focusing more on the way that I look, because I actually wanted to focus more on just looking nice, something shifted. And I didn't understand this because I wasn't trying to be strategic. I was just learning to embrace being more feminine, doing my hair, doing some makeup, wearing jewelry, and I was minding my own business more. I wasn't really trying to prove that I was that smart. I noticed a shift, and I noticed that people were more likely to actually help me out because I wasn't trying to prove all the time that I knew everything. And that made them feel like they could do more. And when I was like, wow, thank you, I really appreciate that. How did you do that? When I praised them for them helping me out, they wanted to help me out even more. So that appreciation actually made me get more help, especially as a neurodivergent. While I thought my whole life I needed to be really, really smart to get what I wanted, I could actually do nothing, just look pretty and be appreciative, and people were gonna do stuff for me. And gradually, my life became much easier because I learned to understand that me holding a little bit back when it comes to me revealing how smart I am actually was one of the smartest moves I could ever make to make my life easier, more calm, and fit the type of life that I truly wanted, which is a life where I'm taken care of, where I don't have to worry about trying to prove to everyone that whatever I'm doing is okay, where I can get up whenever I want to, and when I ask for help, I get that help. That's a life that I had never ever been able to see for myself when I was a teenager and I won the know-it-all award because I thought I needed to know it all. I thought I needed to do it all. But I realized if I focused a little bit more on being feminine, relaxing back, and being grateful for the help that I could get, moving softer, and not always revealing how smart I truly am, especially to people that don't appreciate that smartness, then suddenly things became more seamless. And I'm never, ever gonna promote you being stupid. Be making yourself smarter. And you should always know that you being strategic about who you reveal your intelligence to does not mean that your intelligence is going to depreciate. It actually means that you can have more time and more energy to focus on actually becoming smarter in the long haul. I thought when I started using my beauty and I dialed down how smart I was in public, then my intelligence was just going to fade away and I was dimming my authentic self. But I realized very quickly that when I didn't show my true intelligent self around certain people, that meant that when I was around the right people, my intelligence could shine even more because I had been gatekeeping, I had been protecting myself. And that's why when a lot of women that grow and understand that they need to use their pretty privilege to get the life that they truly want, and they're actually smart and being strategic, a lot of these women are going to be called mean, they're going to be called narcissistic, they're going to be called gold diggers. They're going to be called all of these things because they understand that most people will misunderstand them. And they understand that there's no reason for them to reveal how smart they are to people that will never be able to understand that, to people that will never be able to appreciate their intelligence. It is better for them to just dial it down. One example that I think is extremely good with a celebrity that I truly really adore is Paris Hilton. Throughout a lot of Paris Hilton's life, she has been playing this dumb blonde role. And a lot of people thought that she was really ditzy, and she clearly also has an image of being this ditzy dumb blonde. But you know what? She used her cars extremely strategically. She used her looks to get the contacts and keep up her persona so that she wasn't just her rich dad who has a hotel business's kid. She was Paris Hilton. She made an image of herself, and she understood that that image might require for her to play a little dumb, to come off a certain way. But you know what? In the long haul, she acquired enough resources, contacts, fame, everything she needed to acquire in order for her to be able to do the things that she truly cares about. If you follow Paris Hilton on Instagram, this woman is constantly doing charity work. Apart from her also being her cool celebrity Paris Hilton self. This woman does a lot of charity work for animals. And I remember she revealed in an interview her true voice, that she doesn't talk the way that she's always talking on videos. She has a completely different voice in real life. She understood that in order for her to get the prosperity, the security, and the brand that she needed to be able to truly do the things that she wanted, she might have had to play dumb for a little while. She might have had to come off a certain way. But you know what? I'm sure that she doesn't care, because now she has so much for herself. Now she's built so much for herself that someone down here screaming, oh, Paris Hilton is just a dumb blonde, she's mean, she's arrogant, she's ditzy, doesn't face her at all because she's at the top of the mountain. If they're in economy screaming at her on a plane, she's literally on the private jet when it comes to mentality. They can't get to her because she focused on building herself up first. And a lot of people that misunderstand her are going to say, well, she's just a dumb blonde, because she understood that people are not going to see her as powerful as she truly is if she comes off as if she's a little ditzy. And then people are just going to focus on her looks. They're just going to be like, oh, she's just a dumb blonde. Of course, she's really pretty. She's not very smart. And then in the back, she can make all of her power moves. And now she can do whatever it is she wants to do. She has so much to give back. She gives back to so many communities, people, animal, and she stands by who she is, her glamorous self, because she was both strategic and she also understood that that's not a reflection of how smart she really is when people tell her that she's just dumb. And the people that love to follow Paris Hilton for who she is also knows that she's so much more than the dumb blonde that a lot of people think she is. So she hasn't dimmed her intelligence. She knows how to gatekeep herself and protect her own power so she can grow her power even more. Instead of stooping down on other people's levels and telling them, no, I'm not that dumb. I'm not that dumb. I'm smart. I'm really, really smart. Believe me. Because that would be her feeding their validation, feeding their insecurities, instead of focusing on growing her own, of becoming a better version of herself. People that are down here are always going to have some negative comments to find because they haven't worked on themselves enough to come to a point where they don't want to judge anyone. They want to judge people because it keeps them comfortable and it keeps them happy. That's why it is so incredibly important when you're a pretty girl who knows that you can do whatever it is you want, who's trying to get whatever it is you desire and that you truly deserve. You just have to let them tell you that you're mean, that you're narcissistic, that you're a bad person, because it's only a reflection of the fact that they're afraid of facing their own self. It's not a reflection of you. It's a reflection of the insecure people vibrating down here who are not willing to level up and go to your level. So don't stoop down. Embrace your beauty. Embrace your intelligence. Be strategic about it, but embrace it. And don't be afraid to level up to a point where people will literally say that you're the meanest person in the world. Because when you do set boundaries, when you do level up your life, you're gonna have to stay away from the type of people that are down here. Because they are gonna be stealing your energy. They're gonna be stealing every single ounce of your energy if you let them. Which is why you're gonna have to have boundaries. You're gonna have to say no. You're gonna have to be strategic. You're gonna have to come off as if you're a mean or gold digger in their eyes, because you have to protect yourself. And they want you to be down here with them because that makes them comfortable. But the nicest thing you can do to people that don't want to level up their own lives is continue leveling up your own life so that they don't have your validation to keep them in their little comfortable bubble, so that eventually they might realize that they have to work on themselves. You should never lower yourself. You should always strive to become a better version of yourself. Especially when you're a pretty girl who understands where effort goes, effort flows. You can use your pretty privilege to take you places that you've never gone before. And you should. There's nothing bad about that. But people want to make it seem like it's bad because they don't want to put that effort into themselves. Because they don't want to see the bigger picture. Because they don't understand that in order for you to get to where you need to go, you're going to have to come off as mean to other people. Not because you are mean, but because you have to choose your journey first. And if you don't choose your journey first, you're going to end up letting your dreams and your desires down. And you can either pick between coming off as a little bit mean, making the strategic moves you need to make, and getting the life that you deserve where you can give back plentiful, or putting the little energy that you have that you could be putting into yourself, into other people, where you're depleting yourself of energy, not growing your energy, and you're never going to get to the life that you truly want. You can pick between those two, and it is up to you wholeheartedly, fully. But when you are on your growth journey, you will have to make strategic moves that come off as immoral to other people. That doesn't mean you're a bad person. It just means that you understand where your priorities are. When you get to the top of that mountain, you will be able to give back to everyone who deserves to be given back to. And they will be able to use you as an example of how far you can go. And that is beyond powerful. But you should never let anyone tell you that because you're pretty, you're superficial, you're bad, you're mean. I mean, let them tell you that, but understand that you're not. You're smart, you're great, you deserve everything that you want, and you being strategic about your beauty, there's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. You putting effort into yourself to see effort from the world is a power move, which is why pretty girls have to get comfortable with people calling them mean, narcissistic, or bad when it comes to protecting themselves when they're leveling up. Let them and keep moving, because I know you're both pretty and you're smart. You deserve to get to where you need to go, and you will.